Moving on to item number 14. Fifth Street Bridge Replacement Project, authorization to enter into a high-cost agreement, presented by Diana Langley. The lady with many accolades tonight, Mr. Starmer's gone, so he can't continue to give you any, but our Public Works Director, Diana.
Yeah, so this is a really exciting time for the Fifth Street Bridge. Over the last few meetings, we brought items before you. Tonight, we have 2 additional items. And as we move forward over the upcoming months, you're just going to see more and more items related to the realization of a new Fifth Street Bridge. This item before you tonight is a high-cost agreement. Caltrans has a policy that any project with construction or right-of-way costs in excess of $20 million must enter into a high-cost agreement. The estimate for the construction estimate for the Fifth Street Bridge is just over $65 million, so it's triggering this agreement. The purpose of the policy is to avoid a single project being allocated more federal funds in a given year than the project can actually spend. So they don't want to allocate $65 million up front, knowing that you're not going to spend it all in that first year, because then that hinders their ability to fund other projects. The agreement requires the local agencies to commit non-federal funds to advance the construction of the project. Once the local agency commits the budget authority for the full construction funding, Caltrans will commit up to $20 million for construction each federal fiscal year. The Fifth Street Bridge is expected to span 4 federal fiscal years, so $20 million per federal fiscal year should be sufficient to meet the cash flow needs of the city. The estimated monthly payments for construction vary between $1.3 and $3.8 million, with the average being approximately $2.4 million. So the way this will work, the city will pay the contractor, and then once we pay the contractor, we'll submit the invoice to reimbursement from Caltrans. So you'll always kind of be a month lag in terms of submitting for reimbursement. So with that, the city will regularly need to carry between $4 to $6.5 million prior to receiving reimbursement from Caltrans. Staff recommends utilizing citywide pooled cash to cover advancing the expenditures. And so, I just want to be very clear. This high-cost agreement is basically stating that the city will advance the funding of this project. With that, we are working with Caltrans to allocate up to $20 million per year for reimbursement. There is risk associated with the high-cost agreement in the sense of if the funding doesn't come through in a year, what does the city do? With that, the city would have the ability to suspend the construction contract until such time as the funding comes through. So I want to be very clear, there is risk associated with it. Other agencies have executed this agreement and constructed their bridges successfully and were reimbursed. We're working closely with Caltrans staff to ensure that the city would be reimbursed, and we would continue to do that. In addition, we will not be actually awarding a construction contract until next year. And so this agreement just needs to be put in place so that Caltrans can start to program the funds for this next federal fiscal year. And so they're requesting that this agreement be executed by mid-October so they can start the programming of the funds. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Diana?
Through the mayor. Diane, I have a question. They said that they will allocate up to $20 million per year, but let's say the first year we only spend $15 million of that. Does that carry over to the next year, or it does carry over? So, all right, thank you.
Any other questions of Diana? I'm actually gonna let the members of the public, or desire to have any input from the members of the public. The word risk was put out there. So I think it would be appropriate if any member of the public would like to have input on this item. 14, if you would go to the podium, give us your name.
Mayor and council members, my name is Fotine Halakis Kopriva. I reside here in Yuba City on 129 Ramirez Drive, but I have a question when we're talking risk, and since we've had issues with budget expenditures and stuff that's come to the public of over expenditures on the bids and the estimates and amounts that we've been doing. So I just want to ask a couple questions. on this project, I'm really excited about it. First of all, I want to let you know that. I think it's an awesome thing. But with the risk issue with Caltrans, what happens if they decide and they have an issue and they can't fund, and we stop construction on a bridge where the bridge is passable now? Where do we go from there? So in year 2, in the middle of everything, what happens?
I'm going to answer it because I have enough working knowledge on the bridge itself. That the main part of the construction for the first couple of years, 14, will be in the first part of the construction phases. The structure will be being built north of the existing structure. The structure will continue to flow traffic. The current structure will continue to flow traffic, and at the very latter part of the construction, which I don't think would be a holdup issue, we would do our ramping to the new structure or the tie-in to the new structure. I believe that we're really looking at programs that have been taking place over time in many different jurisdictions that allow for the use of the one structure. It's a critical component for us, especially in the event that the Highway 20 or 10th Street Bridge should reach a catastrophic failure that we nearly had a couple of years ago, and that would left us with just the 5th Street Bridge. So this is, I mean, it's an important piece for us, and we would continue to have that roadway open.
Through the mayor, just one comment, please.
Go ahead.
I had the same question. I did ask it, and found out that the history of this, I'm going to say, box of money or the project that they have here has been that there has never been a time that it has not followed through, and there has been really a holdup. They've always come through, always been worked out. They have to state that there's a risk, because there's always a risk. Catastrophic, something happened to California or things like that. So they're required, and in other projects I've learned that they're required to say that there's risk. And in this program, I found out that the risk is in reality very, very low, but they have to state that there is a risk. So that's what I found out.
Any other comments or questions? If not, action from the council.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?